My hair is a big mess. I would like doing that. Look how curly it is. See how curly it is? It's very curly. Why is it so curly? I don't know. I didn't even. It's not a perm. That's not even a perm. That's natural curls. Isn't that weird? Why do some people have straight hair and some people have like curly hair? Why is that? I know this is gonna sound really weird, but I used to think it was because of sex. But it has nothing to do with sex because I've been celibate pretty much for almost 4 years. Yeah, I might as well say 4 years of celibacy, and so it's not sex. This is not curly hair is not caused by sex. I guess it's just something in the DNA. I don't know. I don't know why I have curly hair. It's so weird. Why do I have curly hair? I really don't know. Anyway, um, this is a totally random bloody blah blah vlog because I spend a lot of time alone and I just feel like talking. I called my auntie this morning. I called her first because she's the one that's most reliable about answering the phone. So she was shopping, so she said she'd call me back later. And I called my son. He was working, so I didn't want to bother him. I hate calling him because I always feel like I'm bothering him. Every time I think of my son, I always think of that freaking song "Cats in the Cradle," and I wonder if all parents feel this way, or is it just me? The cats in the cradle. Yeah, they turn out just like you, even though you kind of knew it would happen. You kind of hope maybe it wouldn't, or maybe it would be better somehow. You kind of try to tell them like, look, if it does end up being just like me, I'm here for you to help you kind of, go through it, even though I'm still going through it myself, and it sucks. But I don't know. The Cats in the Cradle song, it's agonizing, really. It's really freaking agonizing because there are points in my life where I really tried to break the cycle. You if you're a Game of Thrones fan, you remember when Daenerys said, "I want to break the wheel." I really tried, really, really, so many efforts that I made to try to stop the cycle of redundancy of pain or misery. Uh, but it doesn't matter, whether you break the cycle, whether you break the cycle or you don't break the cycle, misery exists regardless. It happens. If they're not repeating a pattern, they'll find a new pattern of pain and misery. Isn't that pathetic? They, meaning us, meaning people in general, break one wheel and another wheel happens. Even happiness can be miserable. That's the really twisted irony. Um. Anyways, thinking about characters, because like as I scroll through the three main websites that I hang out at, I write some poems. I come to YouTube and look at videos. People gossip a lot on YouTube. I just talk randomly. I mean, I guess somebody could consider it gossip, but basically, I just like take in all the stuff I've seen, and then I splurt out whatever opinion that comes out of all these different tidbits that I see. I read a poem, I watch a video, I go to Facebook, see a joke or somebody sad, see something funny or something sad on Facebook. And anyway, it all just goes in there like a really long 5-page algebraic formula, and then it just spits out like whatever, opinion I have. It's not clean and pretty. It's not a three-pronged thesis. It's not a bulletin with bullets or a list very orderly and neat of pros and cons. No, it's nothing like that. It's just like my writing. My writing for the past 4 years has been very random and very like one day I'm like writing like a nice clean rhyming sonnet, and then the next poem's just kind of like on the page. And that's how I feel most days, just so sporadic and random. Well, anyway, so I was thinking about. I didn't get. I had mentioned that, that I was a Walking Dead fan, that I was a Game of Thrones fan, and I watched, most of all that. And I like to think about those characters because they were based off of books. Um, the stories and characters were based off of books, and I like that. I really do like that because there's going to be preachers and pastors and priests who know the Bible word for word in and out. And I, as an English major, know that any book you can find the Christ-like characters, you can find characters that are very similar to the biblical characters. But when you don't know the Bible word for word from the first page to the last page, and I'm not an expert on the Bible, just because I said I was raised Catholic does not make me a Bible expert. I mostly spent most of my time paying attention to the New Testament, um, and that was pretty much it. I mean, I know some of the old Bible stories, but I'm not an expert. Um, anyway, so I look at other novels and stories to find these characters that are relatable and to see, because you can look in the mirror and they talk about you have a third eye, does your third eye work? And like for the first 30 years of my life, I thought they were lunatics when they would say stuff like that. I'm like, what third eye? What the hell are you talking about? Yeah. But because I never knew it existed, I never even believed it existed until certain traumatic events started opening that eye for me, which it's not baloney. It does exist. But anyway, what am I talking about, right? What am I talking about? Genres, right? The fantasy genre, the western genre, the romance genre, the drama genre, the horror genre. Sadly, or maybe not to everyone, but I kind of think it's kind of sad that there is a porno genre. There's a lot of genres. It's like whether it's a book or whether it's entertainment, whether it's an entertainment based off of a book. And then you have, not just genres or classifications, but ratings. I mean, well, this is soft porn, so it's rated R. This is hardcore, so this is XXX. And uh, they don't really have that much critique on violence. I mean, cartoons are violent sometimes. Not maybe not, Barney. Barney wasn't violent. I love you, you love me. Let's have cake with a purple dinosaur. That wasn't violent, but um, the cartoons I grew up with were very violent. I mean, Bugs Bunny, you know, he was constantly, beating the crap out of somebody. Well, I mean, there's a lot of shows that are considered PG-13 or rated R that have a lot of violence. But until you start showing, sexual body parts, boobs, and sausage and tuna, it doesn't really, get to that X thing. So what am I talking about? Like, where am I? Like, what am I talking about? Well, I was thinking about characters because I saw that one of the most popular shows. I didn't watch the whole show through because I wasn't watching TV first of all, and I don't even think that channel was accessible. But I haven't really been into TV or sex. Isn't that weird? Maybe they're connected. Maybe my celibacy is tied to the fact that I rarely ever watch TV or I mean, I'm very, very selective now about which movies I want to watch. Um, anyway, so like, where was I? I was saying something about TV and sex. Oh yeah, the shows, the popular shows. I might be wrong. I mean, this is based on just what I see online, the little bit of news that I catch here and there from, 5 minutes of watching TV, or gossip that I see from Facebook to YouTube. Pretty much, I don't bother with TikTok. It was getting me depressed because most of the TikTokers were posting either stuff about their lives that I had that looked like they were on another planet, or stuff that was just so depressing that I was gonna have to, take antidepressants to try to battle it, and I just figured it was just easier to not watch TikTok. So, at least Facebook makes me laugh sometimes. They have some really good jokes. Um, but as I go through all this, I noticed that there was The Walking Dead was trying to make a comeback, but I think it got sort of scattered because there were like three branches, and nobody knew. I didn't know even which one to watch. I was like, well, I want to watch Daryl. Oh, wait a minute. Well, I want to watch Maggie and Negan too, but they're not in the same show. Oh, wait a minute. Morgan has a show too. Well, that's too much. Like I can't watch all three. Like this is forget it. I'm not going to watch any of it then. And then the House of the Dragon, I was like, okay, cool. They're gonna keep doing something with the Game of Thrones thing, and I love that, right? It was nothing like Game of Thrones that I knew. The characters, like there was no memorable character. I mean, I think there may have been like one character that seemed kind of interesting. I don't know. He looked kind of like Orlando Bloom. I was wondering if it was Orlando Bloom. But anyway, I think he was the only character that even like caught my eye, like, he might be interesting. Besides that, they were all so boring. I was like, is this made to put us to sleep? And then well, so then I heard about the westerns. I mean, right after Game of Thrones, I was going to watch this show called Westworld, which was about cowboys and robots. And then I don't know what happened to that. It was going to be on HBO, but I think it only lasted one season. I don't know what happened to it. Well, now they had Yellowstone, right? I don't know what channel it was on. I only got to see clips of it from TikTok and YouTube and Facebook. Sometimes you see a clip on Facebook too. People really like it, and there's a lot of, I guess, really great dialogue. So people, post the clips. So I get to see like pieces of it, but I don't really know the whole story or the whole show. So, and then of course I'm making comparisons in my mind about, well, this character reminds me of me a little bit, or because I have to say it, I don't really know how to rate that show. Not like a rating, like I would say it's definitely R. I mean, I don't know if it's X, but it's definitely an R rating because so the clips that I've seen definitely have violence and gore. So I would definitely put it in the R category. But as far as me rating it, as far as likability, I like cowboy stuff. The books that I liked were romantic books. And an author, Joanna Lindsay, she was a historical romance writer, and I loved her books. And she sometimes did cowboy stories where there was a romance, but um, some people don't like her writing. They say it's antiquated and misogynistic. I like her writing. It's not just Taming of the Shrew. It shows the will of the woman and the will of the man who are dedicated to their character. That's what Joanna, I think, does, but she gets criticized for other things. But they don't use those kind of stories because they think that's just formula and cheesy, and it's not what original. It's so original to take a Snow White or Pinocchio and make them look like crap. That's original. Why don't they use stuff like Joanna Lindsay? Why can't it be beautiful and romantic instead of some horror story because we're afraid to get an X rating, or because we're afraid that violence is more sellable than romance? I don't know. I just have some issues with it. Um, I think that the actors involved in the project were probably all worthy of the praise that they received, and the show was probably worthy of the success that it received. But I don't like the movies and the shows that are always focusing on violence. I I don't see how we're supposed to get a silver lining or any kind of romantic notion when 90% of the story is violence. It just it bothers me. And so anyway, so I was making some character parallel lines, drawing parallel lines between characters from one show that I see to another show that I see. And I guess there's a I mean, all the characters, the clips that I've seen from Yellowstone, they all go through a lot of horrible things. But I guess one of the tragic figures, one of the like boo-hoo characters is this guy named Jamie, who is like the son and the brother. And I guess the reason that his character is tragic is because he's not even a cowboy. I don't he's like a city he's like a city guy stuck on a ranch. And, and it's like ugh, he's just in the wrong place. Like it's like a fish out of water. He doesn't even belong there. And then I was trying to think of, I like to go into the dark realm, like where I think of Game of Thrones characters, but who would that be like? If you looked at him in a dark way and you saw the dark side of him, who is he like? Because there was some skit or monologue that was making him like a piece of shit, and he was supposed to be feeling guilty about horrible things he had done. Maybe he did do horrible things. I really didn't see the whole show. All I know is that if he's that horrible, who does he remind me of? Ramses. He reminds me of Ramses because in Game of Thrones, it was depicted as Ramses was just such a horrible, horrible person. But I liked Ramses. I know. That's kind of dark of me to actually like a character like that. Why did I like Ramses? I don't know why. You see, he was a bastard. He was a total bastard. And yet, he was highly intelligent, highly intelligent. And he was sort of, what is it? Sadistic. Yes, I would say. But then again, his household was a sadistic household. You know, the filleted man. And if you look at all the heroes in Game of Thrones, they all have their sadistic sides. It's just that because we've elevated them to heroic status, we don't really pay attention to that sadism. But see, with Ramses Bolton, it was focused on. Like we didn't glorify him as a hero, so we just focused on the sadistic side of him. And he met his death, I mean, Sansa got him, with the dogs. He got eaten by the dogs. Well, that's kind of how I see the Jamie character in the Yellowstone. It's like he's like the bastard that just doesn't belong there. It's weird. I mean, how are you going to make a cowboy out of somebody who's not a cowboy? You know, he's a city guy. You're going to take somebody in a suit and put a cowboy hat on them and call them a cowboy? I just don't see it. Oh. Anyway, uh, well, there's a lot of gossip too on YouTube about entertainment world. This one's freaking out about Disney. That one's freaking out about Hollywood. And now the phone's ringing. So I guess I'll stop there.